What radio? The music you want.
With your host, Keys Dan.
RadioWhat.com. Yes! What's up, party people? It's Keys Dan with RadioWhat.com, DJLittleRock.com, coming to you live and in living color from the Radio What studios. And this is my podcast, What Makes You Famous? It's an extension of the RadioWhat.com internet radio station that I've been running for quite some time. And if you need DJ services, where do you go? DJLittleRock.com. Check availability and get a free price quote. Today on the program, so excited, Patrick LeFils, the Southern Fellow. Looking forward to talking to him. What makes Patrick LeFils a Southern Fellow? You get to find out more about that in your ears coming up real soon. This week's shows, well, due to the novel COVID-19 coronavirus, there are no public shows. And, well, as of this week, no private shows. So it's going to be podcast after podcast after podcast for you and me. You'll get to hear my voice in your ears all the time. So please hit the subscribe and listen to yours truly, Keys Dan, in your ears. All right, party people, it's time to get into it with Patrick LeFils, the Southern Fellow, calling Patrick LeFils now.
Hello, it's Patrick.
Patrick LeFils?
LeFils.
LeFils, the Southern Fellow.
Very French.
Ah, way French. See, now that takes care of one thing right off the bat, is where's the etymology of that name? And the Southern Fellow. I like that. It's Keys Dan with the What Makes You Famous podcast. How you doing, man?
How you doing, Dan, man? Doing good.
Oh, I'm doing so fabulous. Give the people a little idea of who Patrick LeFils, the Southern Fellow, is.
Well, I'm just a guy like everybody else, you know. But
everybody else.
I've been a trained chef and started this thing called Southern Fellow 2 years back, and my family also has a ranch here in Florida.
Yeah, you're in
Volusia County.
Yeah, you're in North Central Florida, North Florida, or North Central Florida. What do they call that? Or what part of Florida?
North Central Florida, I guess.
North Central Florida, because I'm from South Florida.
Yes, sir.
And North Central Florida, to me, whenever I traveled up there for weddings or various events, or I even did fire college up there in Ocala, Florida. So I it always felt to me like that was more of the South. And if you go to South Florida, which is West Palm Beach, which is more southern geographically, it's not the South. It's there's more of a Yankee feel in South Florida than there is in North Central Florida. So I could feel you being
over the past 50 years.
Yeah, I could feel you being the
my
Southern
great grandparents had a big dairy in Miami way back when. Okay,
now yes, before 1980, when drugs came to Miami, before 1980, the South Florida was part of the other part of Florida. It was more of a sleepy town, more relaxed. People would go there to retire and to live out the rest of their days. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. But then, when drugs came in, there was a lot of money, a lot of cars being bought, a lot of banks. The buildings got higher.
It exploded.
It just exploded. It really did. So, you didn't feel that in your part of Florida. So you're growing up in the northern central Florida. What exact city?
Osteen.
Osteen. Tell people what Osteen is. What's that all about?
It's just north of Sanford, just south of Daytona Beach. It's a small town. My family's been there for a long, long time, and that's where our ranch is and everything. Both sides of my family, my mom's side's been in Florida since the 1850s, and my father's side has been in Florida since the 1870s.
Wow, you got roots like an oak tree, man. You can get your family tree all the way back to almost the Civil War. Do you know where they were previous to that, or if anybody was actually involved in the Civil War, or what did they do
Yeah,
way back then?
we've had, especially my mom's side, we've had a few people, and a strange thing, I'm a white guy. Not that matters, but it matters in the case of this story. My dad's side actually came from France and then went to southern Georgia and started a ranch over there from just south of Paris. They moved to southern Georgia, and they actually got burned out by the KKK for being Catholic, and that's what pushed my dad's side here to Florida.
Oh my word! See, I didn't realize that. I know that the KKK started just after the Civil War. They really got going strong. And I know, man, there's a big KKK faction in Indiana. I just heard that recently. But and I guess growing up in Fort Lauderdale in the Broward County area, we had a little idea that there was that faction, but it really wasn't in its heyday. I guess the heyday of that was in the early 1900s. But your family actually
it picked up in between the 50s and the 80s, and it's kind of they're a little bit more open. But now they're a lot of those groups are just quiet. They're still there, they're still going strong, but they're not as out in the open as they used to be.
Yeah, but your family actually had battlings with them. They got burned out and sent south. I mean, that's
correct.
That's a family history in itself. I mean, did they bring anything from France that they were able to save? And do you have any family heirlooms that you were able to keep?
No, not really. I still have some family members over there. Thankfully for social media and stuff like that. We got to connect with some of the people that still live over there.
That's an amazing story of triumph over tragedy for your family. That's that you weren't even around then, but that still is in your DNA. That they went through that hardship. So, all right, as going forward through the LeFils, and hopefully I'm pronouncing that properly. Pronounce it one more time, and I'll probably get it right.
It's LeFils, like law, like LA, and then fee, like the word fee with an S on it. LeFils.
Fantastic, Patrick LeFils, the Southern Fellow. That's who I'm talking to. And I'm finding out that your father's side was from France. You got that lineage. Is that right?
Yeah, correct.
And then your mother's side, where did that come from? Her lineage?
They're from Great Britain.
Okay.
That area.
All right. So what did you get from mom's side?
Not too much. They were kind of the poor working class, pretty much all the way through.
Do you know what
today, I guess you could say.
Yeah, do you know what brought her family to the United States?
No, not exactly. I think just like everybody back in those times, we're just looking for something more, something better.
Opportunity. And that's what you get here in the US of A, is opportunity. You could be anything you want. I fully believe that. I really do. If you work hard at it, you could be anything you want. Because, in England, and I know I've talked to some people from the UK, there is a class system. And, whatever class you were born into is probably the class you're going to die at in England. And that's, man, it's still, for the most part, that way. There seems to be, like, they're trying to change, get more opportunities, but the people that I've talked to over there. And so, what did you bring any family heirlooms down the line? Did you get anything from the British side, the UK side?
No, not really, especially because everybody was moving around quite a bit back then. But it's just both families didn't come from the type of money, type of layer of life that could could do something like that, you know.
But Patrick LeFils, whatever they got it here in the USA. They really, what you're kind of leading me to believe is that they didn't come with much, but what they made it here. And you know, so how was the family growing up in Osteen, Florida, small town life, Mr. Southern Fellow?
It was good. We grew up on, I grew up on a 3,000 acre ranch, and we did all that. Grew up working hard, doing that type of stuff with my dad, and parents and uncles and everything. My dad was the oldest of 8 kids, so we got a pretty big family, an extended family, and we get together once a month. And most of the family still lives here, so we get together once a month at our grandparents' house, and there's still about 65 people.
Once a month. I mean, I'm guessing it's an outdoor thing. It's got to be outside with the barbecue.
Yeah, my grandparents got a pretty big house, but yeah, some of it's outside, some of it's inside, and not everybody shows up every month, so it just depends.
That's pretty good size. It's nice to have your family close. I've said it many times that family are the people that are probably going to back you up more often than not. So it's good to keep your family tight. And I'm glad you have that, Patrick LeFils. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah. So all right. What were your courses of interest in school and the like growing up as a young Southern fellow?
My big thing was FFA, which used to be Future Farmers of America.
Yeah.
I did that through middle school and high school. And then the year after my high school year, my senior year, I was elected the Area 3 State FFA Vice President, which is basically, Central Florida. I was in charge of all the chapters in Central Florida.
Wow, Patrick. If you're going to do it all the way. Good job.
Got to do that.
No, and you grew up on a 3,000 acre ranch. Take me through a typical day. Did you have chores that you had to do before school? Is it the typical what you see on Little House of the Prairie? You get up and you're milking cows or slopping pigs?
No, it's a little bit more. It's a lot easier than the Little House on the Prairie days. Still not that easy, but no. No, it's it had a lot to do with especially during the winter months, we feed cows on the regular. So we feed cows. Here in Florida, it rains and has a warm enough temperature. We get plenty of grass. During spring and summer and some of the fall. So actually feeding cows is not that difficult. But we work cows, feed cows. Used to bale a lot of hay, sell a lot of hay. That was one of our badge of honors was baling hay because, we used to put up, a couple thousand bales at 30 pounds a piece. And actually the the 2 local high schools used to send the football coaches used to send their football players there because we used to bale hay during the summer. So when school was out, the football coaches used to send the players to my dad. While y'all are out during the summer, you go see Mr. LeFils and bale some hay, to stay in shape. So,
well, you're a good storyteller, Patrick LeFils, because you're already answering the next question I was going to ask. Was Patrick LeFils doing all this work by himself? No, he had the whole football team helping him out. Did you have any brothers and sisters in the family?
It was the whole family. My whole family is involved, and has been involved, aunts and uncles and cousins and all that stuff. To kind of distribute the workload, so to speak. So
this is a real working ranch.
Things that we do,
and it's still going strong right now.
Yes, sir. Yep.
What's the name of that ranch?
It's just LeFils Ranch.
LeFils Ranch. And do people buy animals and products and hay and other things from you?
Florida is mostly known for what we call a cow-calf operation, and that's basically what we do. And we basically breed cows down here, and we get the calves to a certain weight or age, and normally about June they go to the market, and then they get shipped out west where it's a little bit cooler, and we actually ship them out to where the groceries are at. where the corn and wheat and soybean and all that stuff is grown, and that's what finishes them off.
Wow. I mean, people that think that, hey, where does steak come from? That comes from your local Publix, your local Piggly Wiggly, your Kroger. Nope. It comes, some of it comes from LeFils Ranch. Wow.
Some of it does, yeah.
Man, that's an amazing way to grow up. I mean, you're either going to be strong or just fall apart. You have to.
Well, it's one of those things that it doesn't seem amazing when you're doing it. It doesn't seem like a fun activity when you're doing it. But, kind of once you grow up and kind of look back on it and, see the way that, other people grew up, you really appreciate it.
Yeah, it helped to make you the man you are today. I mean, I only had some summer jobs at the Barbie Ranch in Davie, Florida. Hopefully it's still there. And pretty much all I did was clean horse poop and brush horses. And that was just like one summer I did that. And it gave me an appreciation for what they did.
Well, I had that too when I was in high school because, my family, we didn't get paid. Us as a kids, we didn't get paid. The football players and, our friends that helped, especially during the summer, bill, and hey, they all got paid, And, we'd complain to our dad, my dad would be like, didn't mom cook you supper last night? And we're like, yeah. He's like, you got a roof over your head? Yeah. Okay, well, we're going to call it even then. So that's the way we grew up.
Oh, and, man. Come on, Patrick. You need a better union.
But so I bagged groceries part-time at the local Winn-Dixie.
Yep.
And Mr. Gibson, who was the manager at the time, was real good friends with my dad. So if my dad needed me, my dad would come pick me up at Winn-Dixie and go to work to the work that I didn't get paid for, which was terrible, because if you're thinking about, going on a date or going out with friends, you need that cash, when your dad's picking you up, it's kind of cutting into your cash.
Oh, how's young Patrick going to get his spending money? Oh, the Southern fella needs to pay for his lovely lady, to make sure that, because you got to treat her right. All right, we're going to delve into your avenues of expertise. And you say you're a trained cook. When did that start happening?
It started happening in 2002. I think I went to started culinary school.
When did you graduate high school?
Experience? 2000.
2000. So by 2002, you already knew what you wanted to be when you grew up? You wanted to be a chef?
Yeah, that's what I had in mind. No restaurant experience whatsoever, but I was like, let me try culinary school.
Yeah, I mean, you knew at least you knew some of the ingredients. You had some cow, and what other animals did you have on that?
Well, that
on that
and
ranch?
Growing up from a big family, I've always enjoyed cooking. And growing up with a family, I'm used to cooking for 65, 100 people on the regular. So I may not have had traditional restaurant experience, but I did have, some experience.
Patrick LeFils, you had plenty of experience. Oh yeah, cooking for 65 people at least once a month. And then how big was the regular family that you had in the house daily?
There was only 5 of us.
Only 5? That's plenty. That's a lot of people. You already alluded that you were Catholic, and generally, I mean, what is it? Typically and stereotypically, Catholics have larger families.
Big families, yeah.
Be fruitful and multiply.
What really started me cooking is pretty much about when I started high school. My mom actually went back to school to get her nursing degree. So it was me and my older brother, figuring out what was for dinner. And a big thing around my house is fried chicken. Homemade fried chicken, not KFC or anything like that. So we did that. And if you've ever made homemade gravy, and when we do fried chicken, we make a milk gravy. But you start with a roux, you start with butter or some sort of fat and flour. And, you cook that a little bit, and then you start adding your whatever liquid, whether it be chicken stock, milk, or whatever. And I remember the first time me and my brother attempted to make gravy, and we did a good job, but it started from a little bit, and we put too much roux. We added too much flour, too much roux to it. And it ended up being almost like 2 gallons of gravy by the time we got done, to the right consistency. So, it's just one of those funny stories that you look back on.
Oh, for sure. And I hope to hear a lot of those, man. And first of all, yay, mom, for being a nurse. What did she do previous to that while you kids were in the house?
Well, I'm going to backtrack a little bit because, my parents, had a really good, a romance story, but not in a typical way.
Ooh, tell me everything.
My parents got married in the, late 70s, and, I can't remember if it was 3 or 4 months after my parents got married. My dad was involved in a horse accident working cows, and he ended up paralyzed from the neck down.
Wow.
And, back in those days, and a lot of people, told my mother, it'd be easy for you, you only got 3 months into this, it's easy for you to kind of, back out and, do something with your life is what a lot of people said, but she ended up, staying married to my dad, and, he passed away about 9 years ago, but, he lived about 20 years longer than what the, doctors told him he would.
That says a lot about your mom and your dad, that they stuck together. But your mom, a trooper, it had to be a hardship for her and probably the rest of the family to take care of a quadriplegic. I mean, but was he able to have some kind of quality of life and teach you some things?
Oh yeah, he was able to, too much so, too much more than some of us kids wanted, but he was able to drive his truck around, and he was kind of the manager for the ranch and that type of thing. And
drive his truck around with he was paralyzed from the neck down with quadriplegic?
Correct, but he was able to move his arms, and he wasn't able to move his fingers, but he was able to move his arms and elbows and that type of stuff.
Amazing. See, that says a lot about his will to live, his will to be an upstanding member of society, not be a burden on anybody. That is beautiful. Because some people would just chuck it all and give it up. So your dad was a special.
On my mother's side and my dad's side. Yeah,
your dad's a very special man. And then mom, being a trooper, and so she took care of your dad for the most part, and then she went back to school and became a nurse. She's still doing that?
She just retired 2 months ago.
Wow, that's fantastic. What kind of nursing did she do?
She was a hospice nurse.
Hospice. Now that is difficult, being with people the last days of their life. My mom, she was a nurse, and I was a EMT paramedic in South Florida. And let me tell you, I did emergency room as well, but hospice, man, that seems so tough. That is very telling of your mom, that she takes care of people, and she took care of you guys. You had what is it, a brother and a sister, or a couple brothers, or you said you had 5?
Yeah, I had a brother and sister, correct? Yep, an older brother and a younger sister.
Older brother, younger sister. How'd you you could brag on them? How's your older brother?
He's doing good. Growing up, he was a regular older brother. Of course, my sister's only a year younger than me, but my brother's 6 years older than me.
Mm-hmm. So were you the tag along? I want to be like you.
Yeah, he was definitely the bigger brother, for sure.
Did he take care of you?
Yeah, I mean, we had we still have a really good relationship. Being close to your family is sometimes a blessing and sometimes something else. But
I know I have a little brother. He's 3.5 years younger, and we fought in the yard. Well, I mean, if we started to have a tussle in the house, my mom would definitely open that front door and kick us out to the front yard. Go finish that up out there.
Yeah.
That's
we never did fight too much. But,
wow, that's great.
We pretty much got along.
And were you very protective of your younger sister? How's she doing?
No, because she grew up on a ranch too. She was pretty inept to handle situations.
That's true. She'd be the girl that said that she would be the girl that would say, "I could handle myself. I grew up with brothers. I grew up on a ranch."
She used to bale hay with us and all that type of stuff too. So she was always capable of handling her own. And plus, all three of us, we all enjoyed kind of doing the same things, and we were all kind of involved in the same thing. So I don't know if that was by design from my parents to make their life easier, or that was a natural progression of things. But
well, parents know that's why we have kids, so they can do our chores for us.
Yeah.
and take care of us when we get old.
Yeah.
That's good, man. It's nice that you have a tight family. You got good parents that loved you, and you grew up strong, man. You grew up working hard, and then you got out and you went to culinary school. Which school did you go to?
Just a local community college, DBCC.
DBCC, good school. What they teach you in there?
Yeah, it was a good school, and had a good time, and got out and started working in restaurants and learning how hard that was.
Well, you can give shout outs. Give to the first restaurant that gave you your big break, Patrick LeFils. Hey, I want to work. I want to cook.
Well, I worked at a few places. Back then everybody was working. You change restaurants more than you change underwear. But
well, you were talking about fried chicken.
I did have a good run at a place called when I first started, it was called Sisters, and then we turned it into Cecil's after the owner's last name. But I became the executive chef there, and that was a place where I really could be a chef, and I could design the menu and really make things my own. And that was the first place that allowed me to do that.
Wow, that's fantastic. What year was that?
2005, somewhere in there.
Wow, so pretty much fresh out of culinary school. How long did culinary school take?
Just 2 years.
2 years learning how to cook. And you did, what you get, the basics? I could fry eggs. I worked at KFC and learned how to cook a fried chicken. I looked at the bag because I wanted to see what the herbs and spices were. It says monosodium glutamate, salt and pepper, herbs and spices. Doesn't tell you what it is. But I learned how to fry chicken. And you said about gravy. We used to use the cracklings to make gravy. And I'm guessing that's something that you learned.
Yeah, gravy can be made different ways. Obviously with culinary school, you learn to make everything, the classic French way, is the way they teach you in culinary school.
Huh.
And still to this day, I went to culinary school, and still to this day, I try to educate my mother on cooking, and sometimes it doesn't fare too well for me.
Well, she's in the British side, the UK. They're not known for their food, bub.
No, my mother's always actually been a real good cook, but she's a Southern cook. Not necessarily the classic French Escoffier way.
Okay. Well, you hear about culinary school, and man, you always coincide them with the French, and you already had that genetics in the background. So it is, when you go to culinary school, it is the French way. Is that the best food in the world, French?
No, it's just the classical way to do it. It's just like going to an art program or ballet program or something like that. There's some fundamentals that you have to learn, and a lot of cooking involves the French fundamentals.
That's cool. What are the French fundamentals? Do you remember any of that classic training? I know it's been a little while. You've been in the game already.
Yeah, there's the sauces, and there's that type of stuff, and it's basically as much. It seems complicated to people on the outside, but when you learn it, it's very basic, and then you can take those basic things and turn it into things that are completely different.
Man, that's amazing.
Like a bechamel sauce. Okay, a bechamel sauce is kind of like a cream sauce, and that could be the base for chicken Alfredo. That could be the base for macaroni and cheese.
Huh. Okay, like a white sauce then, like a white cheese.
Fundamentally, it's the same, but just by changing, a few ingredients, it becomes different things.
Man, that's amazing. And it's just your little touches, your little additions and subtractions that make it your own. So when Sisters turned into Cecil's, at Sisters, I'm guessing you were the cook or the short order cook or the assistant?
No, they changed shortly after. They were kind of like brunch lunch type of restaurant
Uh-huh.
when I first took over, and then when I took over, we started doing lunch and fine dining dinners.
So what's on the menu when you're preparing for Cecil's, and does it change every so often, or did you come up with a menu and get it printed up?
It changed quite a bit. It changed. I try to keep things seasonal. I always went to there's a it was in DeLand, the restaurant, but I used to go to a local produce place in DeLand, and see what's seasonal, and that type of thing. But we had some big sellers that were our steaks because we dry aged them in house, and that was back before it was cool. And we did shrimp and grits kind of back before that was cool too.
Wow, you were country before country was cool. Southern fellow.
Yeah.
No, that's fantastic. And you were able to use your creativity and put it into your food. It becomes an art. And with Cecil's sounds like it was it French cuisine, or was it, was it Southern food?
No, it was everything. It's more American. It was not really French. It was just good fine dining American food, just very fresh.
Fantastic. Is Cecil still around?
No, they ended up retiring.
And then what did you do?
After a couple years.
Oh my goodness, you're 2 years as the head chef, the executive chef, the boss in the back. And what do you do? What do you do now? Cecil's closing.
Well, then I started. I had a catering company for a bit.
Oh, cool. What kind of events did you do?
Just all sorts of events, but most of my events were just small private functions, and the people that wanted something specific, something special. I didn't do too many big weddings or anything like that. It was mostly small functions that that people wanted the best, and they were willing to pay the best. So it just worked out for everybody.
Oh, I like a good get together. I mean, I definitely do weddings and parties and birthdays and stuff like that on the DJ side, but the food is very important, and somebody that cares about the food is so important for a function, because you're going to remember that food that you taste at that event is going to become part of your memory. And you, Patrick LeFils, you're making those memories, man, making people remember the good times in their lives, having a good meal with friends and family. So did you have a
chef? The weddings were nightmares.
So did you have a car? Did you have a food truck, or did you have a trailer that you prepared stuff in?
No, I just had a friend of mine let me use his commercial kitchen, and we did it that way. Sometimes the parties were so small that I just cooked at the house that I was, doing the catering for.
Wow. It's good to have friends that have commercial kitchens. So
actually, I had one of my good customers. He was redoing his house, and he called me up, and he's like, "We're redoing the kitchen." He's like, "What do you need?" And I'm like, "What do you mean, what I need?" He's like, "Well, you cook here all the time. Tell me what you need." So, I was kind of able to kind of design my dream kitchen in his house.
Man, you're a superstar. That's fantastic. They're working around you. They know they're going to have events with the Southern fellow out there, Patrick LeFils. They build their kitchen
about twice a month
to your specs. Oh, that's respect, man. That is definitely respect. And so, all right. So I'm guessing, all right, see, this 2007. I'm thinking this is around 2009 when you start doing your catering. I'm just trying to get the timeline down.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. And then how long do you do the catering before something else happens?
Well, I pretty much did that for a while. And then a friend of mine, he was involved in the cigar industry. He actually made the cigar labels for premium cigar companies.
Sounds like a Florida thing to do. Was he a Cubano man?
No, he was from Honduras, but
Honduras.
He had a big printing company that made a lot of the high-end cigar bands for premium cigar companies. And so, just be friends with me, he would go visit these, cigar companies, like, hey, you want to go along, and do that type of thing, and talk to these guys, smoke cigars, have a good time. And I used to be like, yeah. So I used to, meet with all these people that own, cigar companies, and big companies like Fuente and J.C. Newman. Well, Fuente and J.C. Newman kind of the same company, but I used to visit big companies, and started talking to a guy, and he was like, you should get in the cigar business. And I'm like, no, I don't know that much about cigars. I smoke them every now and then. I enjoy them.
Yeah.
And that's far from my knowledge, area.
Yeah, we're talking
like,
about
no,
smells.
Like, you can learn. And I'm like, so he pushed me about 3 times, and then finally he's like, no, I want you to start. And this is Kiki Berger, Don Kiki Cigars. I'm out of Miami. He passed away a few years back, but he kept pushing me, and finally he's like, you're gonna start the cigar business today. He's like, I'm gonna give you about 10,000 cigars, and you just pay me when you sell them.
So were you distributing them up in North Central Florida, in the DeLand area, somewhere around there?
So I started my cigar company called Common Roots.
Wow.
And
that was like 2010, maybe?
Yeah, around that time. And so I started selling cigars. I started manufacturing and selling wholesale premium cigars, to cigar shops and Cigar International, which is a big cigar company, catalog company. They're like one of the biggest retailers of cigars in the world.
Yeah.
But I started selling cigars.
Patrick, that's a traditionally manly thing to do. And you're talking about smells. You originally went with the smells of food and how that creates memories. I never smoked cigars, but the smell of a cigar can bring back memories. I remember my grandfather, my uncle, and various men that I looked up to in my life would be smoking cigars, and just the smells would give me various feelings, and thoughts. And if I smell that same cigar right now, I would remember those times hanging out with the older men that in my life that taught me things. So you're helping once again, more memories and smell, sensory memories. And you say you smoke a cigar every once in a while.
Making premium cigars is kind of like, creating a recipe. That's basically what it is. You're creating blends of different tobaccos and different rolls and things like that. So it's very similar to being a chef or being, cooking food, creating recipes.
Patrick, were you involved in the production of them as well? Rolling cigars? Did you get into that as well?
Let me tell you, I tried so hard to learn how to roll a cigar. I can kind of roll a halfway decent one, but I'm not as good as the pros.
Oh, let me tell you, when I was in Miami and I did weddings down there, every once in a while they would have a cigar roller as part of their event, and man, that was always special. At least for the boys. Some of the girls would try to get into it. Oh, let me have one of those cigars, but it just didn't look right and it didn't feel right, and generally it was like them just trying to fit in. But it really does feel more natural when a manly man grabs a cigar and just lights up and just has a chat with his boys. It's a picture, a photo of friendship, of good times, So
yeah, but I would say the past 15 years, there's definitely been a huge uptick of female cigar smokers.
I'm sure of it. Equal rights for everybody. I'm all for it. But being
it still seems like a guy thing, but let me tell you, there's a lot of female cigar smokers out there now.
All right,
and they're more particular than the guys are.
Oh, for sure. They're going to come up with they'll probably have the best of the best cigars. We could smoke Swisher Sweets all day long, and they'll be picking up that premium stuff. If you're going to do it right.
It's kind of like that. Yes, sir. Yep.
So how long did the cigar business go?
Up to about 2.5 years ago.
Wow, man, that guy had staying power. You sold a bunch of. Oh, all right. Did you sell those 10,000 cigars? How long did it take?
Oh yeah.
How long did it take?
It didn't take that long at all. It didn't take that long at all.
And was that down in South Florida, or was that in the middle in Central Florida?
That was everywhere. Well, I was selling nationwide.
Wow. What were you driving or flying everywhere, or was it mail order?
Mostly driving, because cigar shops are kind of that. They like the old way of doing things. You got to make a sale in person. You can't just call up a cigar shop and expect to make a sale. They want to see you in person. They want you to try the cigar in front of you, that type of thing.
Oh yeah, and I can imagine Patrick LeFils in his convertible Delta 88. No, what kind of car were you driving cross country?
Pickup truck.
Pickup truck. Cowboy hat on.
Yeah, that's always kind of been my trademark.
It has to be, man. It just makes you feel the part. If you're going to be selling cigars or feel, you put that hat on. If you wear it right, man. I mean, I've had a cowboy hat. It just didn't take. Some people can do it. Some people have that you grew up on a ranch. It's in your blood. You've had the DNA, and you put that cowboy hat on, and it just completes the image. You are the Southern fellow, man.
I actually visited a store one time without my hat on. I visited them a couple times before with my hat on, and I just left the hat in the truck one day, and I walked in, and nobody was paying me any attention, So I was like, "This is weird," So I walked up to the owner, and I'm like, "Hey, it's Patrick with Common Roots. What's going on?" And he looked at me. He's like, "Man, I didn't even recognize you without your hat on."
Yes. It's men with hats, man. It's like drill sergeants. It's like the captain of the ship, man. You put that hat on. It shows that you're in charge. You mean business. It completes the outfit. Excellent. Hey, I'm learning some stuff. This is a learning podcast. Patrick LeFils, the Southern fellow. Man, I'm learning about you too. And so up to 2.5 years ago, and then you made a change. What happened?
I started having health issues. I actually started having seizures.
Oh no! What happened? Was it caused by something?
Still continues on to this day.
Was it caused by something? Is it an epilepsy, or did you get hit or hurt?
Seizures in adults is kind of hard to diagnose.
Right.
But they keep kind of leaning more towards epilepsy.
Yeah. My best friend in the whole world has epilepsy since he was a kid, and just it changed him. I mean, are you able to drive?
Nope, not right now.
Not right now.
I've been for 2.5 years.
Yeah, he had to go off, and I mean, after he got to be an adult, he got his meds all right, and now he's driving. He's back to good. So, man, I have hope for you. Oh, actually, he got brain surgery a few years back, and it completely changed him, like that Michael J. Fox surgery that kind of fixed him up too. So yeah, there is hope. Technology is great, man. Yeah. So what have you been doing with your life?
I was having surgery quite a bit. Not surgery. I was having seizures quite a bit back then, and now it's about twice a month.
So you got some good medicine that's helping you out?
Yeah, I haven't been really on medicine because I just recently, let me tell you, trying to find a neurologist, it takes about 6 months to even get an appointment, so.
Oh yeah, the good ones are booked up. I've only had a couple
of appointments so far.
No, I believe you. I know that when he was growing up, he used to say, "Oh yeah, these pills would tranquilize a horse. They would knock a horse down, and he needs them just to keep his head working right." So there wasn't any trauma that caused it at all, Patrick?
No, not that anybody can tell me.
Wow. All right. So what are you doing with your life for the past 2.5 years, Patrick?
Well, when this all started to happen, I ended up selling my name for my cigar company and everything to another company, and because I couldn't travel anymore,
Right.
the way I was, and so I was like, I can't do what I'm doing, so I got to stop that and reevaluate what I'm doing with my life.
Yeah.
And obviously by that time, with all those type of changes, I was getting pretty depressed with things and stuff like that. It was just not a positive change, so you're mentally adjusting yourself to, not being able to drive, not being able to do some of the things that you're used to doing, and that type of thing. So, I kind of went back to my cooking roots and, kind of backtracking a little bit, going back to what we're talking about with culinary school and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
People think we go to culinary school and we learn a bunch of great recipes, and those recipes, carry us on with the rest of our life. But as I was telling you, with like the mother sauces and everything, we basically learn equations, and you can plug in, like Alfredo sauce, you plug in Parmesan, a little bit of garlic, whatever, black pepper, to make Alfredo sauce, using a bechamel, as the base,
Right.
So we don't think about that, but, once you get thinking like that, you don't think about recipes. So tons of friends and family, was always asking me for recipes. I make something, and I say, I don't have the recipe, I just kind of did it, so I didn't write anything down. So, so I got to thinking about that point of, creating recipes, writing down recipes and, giving them out to people some way, somehow. So, I was like, let me build a website. So I kind of tinkered around with some of the other, some of the simple do-it-yourself kind of website type of stuff. And it just, I'm a visual person, and it just was not looking the way that I thought it should look. And, so I was like, well, I got plenty of time, so let me get on YouTube and let me start to learn coding. And boy, was that a big mistake for me. I struggled with it. I got kind of, decent with it just because I struggled with it so much. But anyhow, I came across a program that I use for my website today called Elementor. It's kind of like a web plugin, that builds, so you can build a website kind of more visually.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was off to the races. I was starting to post recipes and doing that type of stuff, and just making recipes, making recipes out of my house. And during this time, and kind of previous before, I've been talking to this girl, Erin Pete Lukes, out of Colorado, and she had a bluegrass band, or still does. We're fixing to do another, Instagram live video with her. But she has a bluegrass band called Thunder and Rain, and we started talking one day, and she was down. She's like, nobody, DJs, radio personalities, stuff like that, nobody gives us, it's hard for a new artist or new group to get out there.
Yeah.
The radio's got to play it because people don't go out looking for new music as much as people think they do. People just don't. People like what they like, and they continue on with their life.
Oh yeah, people got to be turned on to music. I know I used to peruse the record stores as a baby DJ, and the record store owner would always tell me, "Oh, those records are brand new. If you want to take a listen, go in that booth over there." And I would listen. Wow,
Yeah.
That's a great beat. That's fantastic. And then I would buy the record. But without that record store, without that record store owner turning me on to that music, I would not know a thing. So now we're leading into what Patrick LeFils, the Southern fellow, is doing now.
Yeah.
Yes, you're into food, but you're also into talking to musicians. And let me tell you, there's a lot of pretty ladies out there that know how to play music, and you're talking to all of them. I see a couple of fellas in there, a couple of dudes, but for the most part, you're talking to some pretty girls.
We'll get to that for a second. Let me go back to Erin P. Lutz, because this is an important transition.
Okay, let's go.
So I was talking to her, and I was like, I have a website. I was like, I post recipes, but I don't know, how good that's going to be for you, because I'm not, the Boot or Taste of Country or all these other, bigger, website, music websites. I said, but I have a website. So I said, give me a few days and let me think about something that I can do that could possibly help you, She's like, okay, that's cool, whatever, we can do it. And so I thought about it and I said, by this time I was starting to get some pickup from Pinterest with the recipes.
Mm-hmm.
So, people coming to my website, looking for recipes. So I was like, I don't really want to just throw this music thing out there and get away from, what I've originally established. And so I thought about it. I said, what I'll do is I'll do an interview, and around that interview is, we'll create a recipe. That way I have my recipe, she has her music thing. We're going to smash the two together and serve it as one dish.
Yeah, that fits so well, man. Southern food and Southern singing. Beautiful.
Yeah. So I did that. And literally, it was about 2 weeks later, within the same week, I received a phone call from two publicists and an artist out of Nashville that just happened to come across that article, and they asked me if I could do the same thing for them. So that's how our Feed the Band series got started, where we interview music artists, and then we, create a recipe around that interview, around that artist or group.
What a concept. Patrick LeFils, man, coming up with something new, putting two things that you love together and making something great, man. I've seen some of your interviews. They're fantastic. It looked like you have such a whole bunch of fun just talking to these folks and getting their music out there. And then you make a recipe. See, I didn't catch that part. You make a recipe around that. So for example, what recipe did you make around this young lady?
Aaron Pete Luke's. I made two recipes, and I made a pasta dish, and I can't remember it now. Then I made like a barbecue pork po' boy. It has some goat cheese and some fancy stuff to it. Again, this was my first interview.
Oh, you're making my mouth water, Patrick.
2 years ago.
You're making my mouth water. I'm already wanting some of that. I need a po' boy. Taking me down to New Orleans. Oh, that's beautiful, man. And once again, that's the French background that you have, man. It's in the blood. You have to be a good cook. You had no other choice but to be a good cook. But tell me about music. I mean, what got you into music? Was there always music in the house, or was this something you came at all on your own?
No, we're getting kind of to the core of Southern Philly. I mean, I've always enjoyed music, but I've never considered myself like, a super music nerd. I've never, went to concerts every weekend and, did all that, type of stuff, that people that are really involved with music do. I was just a casual listener, like most people. What brought me into music was just basically just wanting to help Aaron out. That's what brought me to music, and that's what we call Southern Fellow. And I know you call me the Southern Fellow, but I really look at it as a family because since I've reached out to artists reached out to me. We really support each other. It's not just me, because let me tell you, I could get a lot more people involved with Southern Fellow if I wrote about Carrie Underwood, or if I wrote about Tori Kelly or somebody like that. But everybody's doing that. Yeah. I just always, I just have the heart for the people, that are working to do what they need to do, just like I was. So, that's why I always do, fairly new artists. And it's just, we've become a family, not only just me and the music, but like, just the people that follow us we support each other. So that's why, your listeners, to your podcast and all that, you're now part of this family. It's just a bunch of people that support each other.
Hey, Patrick LeFils, you're helping out the little guy, and that's beautiful. I mean, that's what we have to do. Everybody's got a story, and I knew you had a story, man. You have, and like it or not, you are the face of Southern Fellow. If people think of Southern Fellow, which is a great website, southernfellow.com, check that out. And did you build that all yourself using that program you're talking about? What was it? Eliminator?
Yeah.
Elementor?
It's called Elementor. I did that, but I kind of moved past that, and I started learning a little bit about some coding and CSS and stuff like that. Just I'm constantly teaching my stuff. Everything that I do is new stuff. Even with the music, I actually participated in a songwriters retreat. No music experience, no songwriting experience, but I went to a writers retreat in Orlando to educate myself.
That's beautiful.
So I'm constantly, with the website, with music, with food, I'm constantly, trying to educate myself, each and every day pretty much is what it takes.
No, you develop an interest and you go for it, man. Even if you don't play an instrument, do you play any instruments at all? Or are you trying?
No, everybody's trying to get me. I played piano when I was a kid.
Yeah.
For about 4 years, but that was kind of at the behest of my parents, and not because I wanted to do it type of thing. So I know a little bit of music theory and stuff like that just through that. But as far as I can probably play "Mary Had a Little Lamb" in the first part of "For Elise" or something like that.
Yeah, but your area of expertise is promotion. You're promoting the new guys, the new people that need to be put out there in the forefront. They need a little food, a little bread and butter. And man, your website, it's so well done. It's very visually pleasing. Right on top, you have, of course, your merch, to help you keep that thing going. But then you have your musicians and your recipes all right there for the people to see. I mean, some people don't want to give their recipes away. Some people would have made the Southern Fellow cookbook and tried to sell it. Is that in the works? Is that something that's coming up?
Yeah, we're working on a cookbook that's going to be very much similar to what we do with Feed the Band. It's going to have it's going to be a little thing about the artist, a little thing about the recipe and all that good stuff. We're working on that cookbook, and we're also working on a spice and spice blend line.
Man, Patrick LeFils, now you're talking. Now you're hustling. That is a perfect coffee table book. While you're having your food, you can read about a band and go, oh, let me look them up on Spotify. Bam, get them a couple pennies per listen while you're cooking your food, because music enhances the feeling. And when you're having a get together, it's music and food. There you go. Yeah, I think you've got a good time going on. And you're mixing it all together, Patrick LeFils. I love it.
Yeah.
Southern Fellow.
Yeah, and actually, once I started getting into the music side of things and, doing that type of thing, because, I'm not a journalist or, any type of level of writing as most probably required from other news outlets. It's just I just did the best that I could. And a friend of mine that I made, she was actually one of the first publicists that reached out to me. And I was talking to her one day, and I was like, "Hey, I've been doing my research and I've been reading all these other music websites, and I'm like, from what I'm looking at, I'm doing this completely wrong. You're supposed to send me what I'm supposed to write. I just plug it into my website and, off we go with it." And she was like, "If you ever do that, I'm never sending you another artist again."
Yeah.
She's like, "What you do is so unique, so different."
Yeah.
She's like, "If you change it up, you're just going to be like everybody else." And,
exactly. There is no wrong way. There is no right way, but there is the Southern Fellow way. you're a person that likes people and likes to promote people. And yeah, if you make a couple bucks along the way, that's what we do. If you could turn something you love into a job, you'll never be working a day in your life. And that's what you're doing, man. I mean, how's the response on this? Are you able to make a living doing this, or is this something that's helping you to supplement a little bit?
No, it's growing. I'm kind of, I'm not a, let me tell you, I'm the poorest of my life, but the happiest in my life.
Mm-hmm.
So, I am making something, but, it's growing, and pretty much, everything that I try to make, we put back in it. We just had, we're starting to get into the female thing, but, I just had, our first ever concert series at, Destination Daytona during, race week, the Saturday before the Daytona 500. We had our first concert, and under our we have a bunch of Spotify playlists. Just search for Southern Fellow on Spotify. But we have Southern Fellow's 2019 Artists to Watch, and then our most popular one is now I'm drawing a blank.
I know.
Southern Fellow's new Queens of Country, and I just did a concert under that flag with we had 5 artists and a lot of people out here in Daytona. So we did our first ever concert with food trucks and the whole shebang, and it turned out really good.
That is cool as can be, Patrick LeFils. Man, I'm looking at the website, and there's just so much to see, and your promotion is fantastic. I mean, I see you have Melanie Maroney, Artist of the Year. You get to talk to these folks. You're making long-lasting relationships with people. You're making friends. You're actually having good conversations. You're not shoving your face in a phone and looking online at social media. You're talking to people. You're doing little videos. Tell me about the luncheonette.
The luncheonette is kind of just like it's more of a song review. Because I try to keep, kind of once I do the feed the band with an artist, it's kind of like a one and done, and then we kind of go back, because a lot of the questions are more personal questions, not necessarily related to music. So you can learn about, the artist a little bit more, but, go listen to the music. For me, just to blab on about the music is kind of, stupid. You just, go to Spotify or wherever you stream your music and listen to it. But, so, we kind of update, feed the band, every 6 months, every year with the artist for their new music video, that type of thing. Plus it helps me out, because they're constantly promoting, that interview. But the luncheonette is just like a short song review, from artists that we've already featured. They come out with a new artist, and it's just another way for me to talk about their new music and give them another plug, and introduce people that have been following us to new music. Because that's part of what we're all about, is introducing people to artists that they wouldn't go out normally looking for.
Well, you're a very nice Southern fellow, Patrick LeFils. That is super. What you're doing for these people. You're not only giving them a full interview, such as we're doing right now, but you're, as soon as they come up with something new, you give them a little bump. A new song is out there. Bam! Let me put that on the website and give them a review on that song, and maybe more ears will be listening to that on Spotify, and get them a couple more pennies in their pocket. I know they don't make much from Spotify. It's a lot better if you buy the song off of Apple iTunes or Amazon, and the artist gets
it's merch. That's where beginning artists make their money, is merch.
That's
it. So if you have a favorite new band, that's how you support them. Buy a T-shirt, buy a hat, buy a shot glass, whatever they're selling. Buy something like that. That's where they really make their money.
That is a good tip, Patrick LeFils, man. After the concert's over, the little go visit with the artists at their merch table and buy some of their wares, and get to know them and give them some feedback, because the feedback is also another way to support that makes them keep going. It gives them an idea of, hey, am I doing something that people like? And people, artists, when they create something, they want to know that they're doing something that that people are enjoying. So your feedback is very appreciated for the artists. So you get to go to some of these concerts. Have you met up with a lot of these artists, or is this interviews that you're doing over the phone or Instagram?
We do most of our interviews over the phone or Zoom or whatever. There's been people that I've become really good friends with that we've never. Stephanie Ryan is one person we've never met face to face, but we're really good friends. So it's going to be like. When we meet, it's going to be kind of like, just like a continuation rather than, something, new, that type of thing. So, but I've met quite a few people, face to face and, that type of thing. That's always best, when you're doing an interview, it's very important, to be able to look in somebody's eyes or body language or something like that, because, there's stuff that just people, don't communicate well verbally, but they communicate well, better with their body.
I do like my face-to-face in-studio interviews, real nice, but I've had a good time with you on the phone, Patrick LeFils, the Southern Fellow. I appreciate you so much, man, for coming on the What Makes You Famous podcast.
I appreciate it, Dan. This has been great.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you for putting out Southern Fellow and, what we do. Thank you so much again. I mean, please welcome to the family, welcome all your listeners to the family. Cause, that's what it is. That's what it is.
Yeah. If any of your artists want to be put on Radio What, I have that radiowhat.com and we'll give them a spin, I'd be happy to play some good new artists. I like breaking new artists myself. I have a whole file full that I play at least once an hour. A couple new artists in there, give them a little shout.
That's good.
Oh, for sure, man.
And we got more Feed the Band coming. It's been kind of slow right now because here in Florida, whatever reason, man, the grocery stores are empty, man, and I need groceries to be able to create recipes. So it's been
for whatever reason.
But please follow me on Instagram too at @SouthernFellow _ We got a lot of mini concerts and kind of Instagram live interviews coming up with all these artists and stuff like that. And it's going to be fun because, I pretty much know all these people already. So, I get to ask them questions other people won't be able to ask them. So,
well, Patrick LeFils, I'm looking for that cookbook, with the recipe and the artist that the recipe was made for, so I'm looking for that Southern Fellow cookbook coming up real soon. I expect it. No, but coming up on the horizon, are you going to be able to get back to work and get into a kitchen, or is this what you're doing to pass the time away, is being the Southern Fellow online?
No, this is what I'm even if I'm able to get back to somewhat normal, this is what we're pushing. This is what we're doing. This is it.
Oh yeah, this is definitely a good way to focus your attention, your life, man. Breaking out some new artists, getting people to listen to something a little bit different. There was a time when all these artists that are on the radio making #1 hits, they were brand new, and you're helping those brand new to get their music out there, and possibly they'll be on the top 40 at one day. And thank you so much for that, Patrick LeFils, Southern Fellow. Well, you think we got it, or you got any other avenues that you want to explore?
Well, I just, you kept talking about the ladies that we feature, and we feature a lot of female artists. And I'm just going to tell you, this is going to be pretty frank conversation, which I know you like the real stuff. But it's just guys just don't put in the work. That's what it is. That is exactly what it is.
You're a gentleman, Southern Fellow.
We put out, leads to artists and publicists, and most of the times when I do get a guy, it's because they have a female publicist that's handling everything, that's pushing them along. But it's just one of those things. We're happy to have guys. We want to have guys, just as much as girls. And I'm going to be honest with you too. Before I started Southern Fellow, I probably only listened to maybe 2 female artists. It just wasn't a thing for me. So, the ladies the ladies, especially in country music, just kind of force fed me their music to where I had to pay attention. So,
well, Patrick, that is long time coming. I mean, the ladies always had to work twice as hard to get half as much in country music and in any kind of music. Generally, it's just like anything else.
Even in pop, there's a lot of pop female artists, but it's still the same thing there because I feature some. I don't never particularly focus on country. Mm. It's just Nashville is such a welcoming place. I mean, you start talking to those people and they're like, hey, go check out this guy. Hey, my buddy, he just came up with a new song. Go check out that. Pop, not so much. Pop is kind of, this is me, and I don't know who else, you can get. But we have featured, some good pop artists too. So.
Yeah, looking at your most recent Feed the Bands, you got Brian Fraser, Lisa Marie, Tara Thompson, Mariah Dombey, Bailey James, Carolyn Miller, and I already said the Artist of the Year, Melanie Maroney. She's Melanie right there. Maroney, right there on top, man. And you're promoting them all. Appreciate that. I'm sure they appreciate that. It's fantastic, man. And you got some artists. You got some artists that I follow on Instagram that I get to see them singing into their Instagrams all the time, and it just puts a smile on my face as well. It seems like we follow quite a few of the same people, and you're turning me on to a lot of new artists. I'm going to have to give a follow to and take a listen and help me through my day as well. So
that's good. That's good. And I have about 30 artists lined up already. So
cool. Cool. Well, all right, man. Usually I finish these things off with the last words for the people. And today it's Patrick LeFils, the Southern Fellow. You can give some words of advice, words of wisdom that you live by, or just something that pops into your head at this moment in time. Patrick LeFils, the Southern Fellow, last words for the people.
Well, last words of the people, words of wisdom. I'm going to just say, be yourself, man. Don't try to be anybody else. And, I run into that with the music people and stuff like that, they're trying to copy somebody, to think that that's going to make them, better or something. But it's just be yourself. Nobody can challenge that. Nobody can put you down for that, so just be yourself.
Well, there you have it, party people. Patrick LeFils, just a small town boy helping people out. That's right, getting people to hear their creativeness and hearing all the new artists. Man, Patrick LeFils, you had no choice but to be a great cook. And you are such a person amongst persons, man, just making people feel good and talking to folks and promoting them. It's very noble. It's very noble. Feeding the people and talking to the people, and you built this nice website and you promote the people. You sell some merch. The people sell their merch. They make some money, roof over their heads, food in their belly. Some of that food designed by you. I look forward to seeing that cookbook. You better have it. It better come out real soon. Well, take your time. Get the good recipes in there. And people will be eating that good Patrick LeFils Southern Fellow food forever and ever. All right, my man. Thank you so much for being on the program, Patrick LeFils. If you'd like to tell your story, this time I'm talking to you, loyal listener. If you'd like to tell your story, I encourage you to give me a call at 501-470-6386 or email info@radiowhat.com. That's it for me. Keys Dan, RadioWhat.com, DJLittleRock.com. Peace. I'm out of here. Be on Radio What's. Call 501-470-6386. Say your name, where you're from, and you're listening to What? The music you want is on RadioWhat.com. If you like what you hear, follow What Makes You Famous social media. Use the hashtag What Makes You Famous. Follow on Facebook at What Makes You Famous. Follow on Instagram at What Makes You Famous. Follow on Twitter at Makes Famous. And follow on YouTube at Keys Dan. Leave What Makes You Famous podcast a review and subscribe. Listen to What Makes You Famous podcast on Podbean, iTunes, YouTube, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, and Spotify, and almost anywhere you find podcasts. Tell your story on my podcast, What Makes You Famous. Call 501-470-6386 and leave a message to set up a time. You can support What Makes You Famous using the PayPal link, paypal.me/KeysDan. Email info@radiowhat.com. What Makes You Famous podcast is a production of Keys Dan Enterprises Incorporated at keysdan.com. Thank you for listening. Radio What? The music you want, with some words to live by.
If we all threw our problems in a pile and viewed everyone else's, we'd grab ours back.
A public service message from RadioWhat.com. The music you want.